Welcome back to Carolina Fishing TV.
This dude welcomed us to the north end of the island, just over Ophelia Inlet, cut by Hurricane Ophelia is Portsmouth Island. Then it's back to base camp to load up and head south for history. Ran into Mac preparing drum nuggets for dinner.
Now you talking about good eating, you see it right there? That's what I call drum nuggets. That stuff there is fitting to eat. Y'all can tell I try not to waste no meat.
I want to be able to read a newspaper when you're done with that.
Okay. I'll see what I can do.
The lighthouse that you see here was built in 1859, which 150 years ago. That's why this year the National Park is going to celebrate the 150th anniversary of when the light first went in service on November 1st. It's 150 feet from the mean level of the sea to the light. And that's important because that determines how far out to sea you're able to observe the light. I was in the Navy, and we went up and down the coast here many times. And on the Mariner's chart, Cape Lookout is designated with a W, which stands for white light, which it is, 15 seconds, which means every 15 seconds the light would flash. At night, it's not a problem because each lighthouse has a unique flash pattern. Daytime, when this was first built, the Lighthouse Board built 3 other lighthouses with a similar design as this one. This was the first, like I say, in 1859. Hatteras, as you go on up the coast, around 1870, Body, and then the last one on the North Carolina coast was Currituck. All 4 of them were built out of the red brick that you see here on this sidewalk. Well, at night, like I say, it was not a problem because each had a unique flash pattern. But in the daytime, the mariners would look ashore and they'd see a red lighthouse. Where am I? They could be up at Currituck, they could be at Hatteras, they could be here at Cape Lookout. So they petitioned the government, and finally, in their wisdom, in 1873, they built this structure, and they also painted the lighthouses. This pattern was designated diagonal checkers. You can see the white and black squares. Now, they look like diamonds, but because they're on a slant, they call them diagonal checkers. The thing that's unique about this lighthouse is probably this way, the only one in the world, is when you look at the pattern, you can actually tell which direction you're facing. The black diamonds are north and south, and the white are east and west. They also had a previous lighthouse built in this location, about 200 yards southeast of the present structure on the mound out there beyond these trees. The original lighthouse was built in 1812. So it wasn't very tall, only about 107 feet. In that era, the only lighting mechanism they had was oil lamps. Well, the problem, this wasn't a very bright light. At night, the mariners would kind of search for it because they wanted to know where they were. And because a few miles down the island here at the point, that reef goes out 18 to 20 miles. So what would happen is, of course, the ships would run aground trying to find the original light. Not a good situation. So they finally built the second light much taller, a much brighter light. So one of the duties of the light keeper, he had to take a 5-gallon drum of oil and run up, walk up the 201 steps to the workroom, and then he had another 15 steps or so on to get up to the light to fill the reservoir for the light. It is still considered an aid to navigation, and the Coast Guard is responsible for the maintenance of the light and the mechanism that makes it turn every 30 seconds. The fuel that was used, first it was oil, caused a lot of soot, a lot of work for the keepers. Every morning they had to clean everything up and polish the lens and so on. The lens that was in this lighthouse originally was what they call a first order lens. It was the largest Fresnel lens that's manufactured today. There are actually 2 bulbs in each of those beacons, and if one burns out, the other one takes over. 1979, they brought a cable over from Harker's Island to provide power not only for the lighthouse but for this structure as well. They had 3 light keepers assigned to this station. This house that was built, like I say, in 1873 housed 2 of the assistant light keepers and their families. The head light keeper was actually located where that replica white summer kitchen is off to the right there. Originally, this island was connected to Shackelford Banks over where the horses are now. And there was a community over there called Diamond City of people that did fishing and whaling, about 600 or 700 people. So they weren't that isolated. And then in 1932, a hurricane went up through the Sound and opened up the channel and kind of separated these 2 land masses. So Shackelford Banks is now its own island, and the Army Corps of Engineers keep the channel open with dredging periodically because it's more convenient and it's a shorter trip from the mainland to come out here to visit the lighthouse. But there's usually someone here every day. They're fishermen, go out on the beach and surf fish, and people camp overnight. So there's plenty to do here on the island.
Don't go anywhere. Carolina Fishing TV will be right back.